Hello guys, Robot1 here. Oh, new format guys. And with a new format, obviously there comes new Yu-Gi-Oh content. And with this, and obviously we're going to have lots of deck profiles, lots of discussion videos, lots of Konami Fix the Ban list, and all of that. But for right now, we have the top 5 decks of the September 17th format. Now, these decks I have carefully considered why they would be better than majority of decks, why they have why they're consistently better, why they're better than the rest, why they're good, why they will most likely do better than majority of other decks. I've considered all of that into this list to make sure that I personally feel that these decks will be the best decks of the format. Now, obviously, this is my personal opinion. Don't hate me for it. I personally feel like these decks will be the best decks because this is my opinion and this is where I think we're going. And I can potentially see all these decks either topping or maybe even winning the 200th YCS coming up this week, I think. I'm not sure if it's this week. It might be next week, but I believe it's this week. So, yeah, so top 5 best decks of the format. What do I personally feel the top 5 best of the format? Well, for starters, the 5th best deck in my opinion is Heroes. Now, hear me out here. Hear me out why I think Heroes is the best deck. Well, the 5th best deck of the format. Now, obviously, with the list that we just got, we saw a ton of changes to Heroes. We saw Stratos to 1, Hero Lives to 2. But we also saw a lot of changes to other decks, such as Magicians. Magicians lost 1 Electromite, losing late game potential. Such as Goki. Goki lost their potential to make their U-Link board very easily with the loss of Goblin, with the loss of 2 drones, with the loss of Invoker. They lost a lot of consistency plays because of this. And with this list coming currently, I feel like Heroes are the 5th best deck of the format. And a big part of this is because of Stratos, but it's also because of the release of Solid Man in the Megatins. Now, Solid Man in the Megatins just opens up so many plays for Heroes. Like, honestly, with Solid Man, you're able to end on a board with a Dark Lore and a Naturia Beast, and an Isolde. If you're in America, you can end on that very easily, but if you're in the UK, or any other part of Europe, it's not as easy to end on that board. But all you really need to do to get to that board is open a Solid Man, a Vion, and a Mask Change if you don't have the Summon Sorceress. And seeing as Mask Change is a consistency free card, and the deck already has a ton of consistency through cards like Equal, through cards like Stratos, through cards like the One Hero Lives, through cards like Foolish Burial to send the Shadow Mist to then get to the Mask Change. I personally feel that the deck actually has a lot of consistency now, or has a lot of boosted consistency, and a lot more combos to go off, thanks to cards like Isolde as well not getting hit. Like, if Isolde got hit, I wouldn't even be considering Heroes to be the 5th best deck of the format, because it wouldn't be powerful enough, because you wouldn't be able to use Isolde to summon, say, a Shadow Mist from the deck, or a attack gainer from the deck to go into Nat Beast. And being able to have a board with a Naturia Beast and a Dark Lore is actually very powerful. And we've also got other boosts to the decks with cards like Card Destruction. Being able to make Dark Lore banish your opponent's entire hand, then make them banish 1 additional card, which is insane. Plus, you can make a Gunblar loop combo in the deck, where you make your opponent banish their banish 4 cards in their hand, discard 2 and banish 2 cards in their hand, 2 on your turn, 2 on your opponent's turn. So Heroes actually have a lot of ways to go around it to deal with your opponent's decks. And I personally feel, seeing as the deck has a lot of consistency, the deck has a lot of playability, and the fact that the deck can just deal with every other deck in the format potentially very easily, it makes sense that the deck is actually the 5th best deck of the format. So especially seeing as a lot of the decks on this list and a lot of the best decks of the format revolve around spells, so being able to make a Nat Beast in general will really help you, which is really, really good in my opinion. So number 5, I personally feel like, is Heroes, because it's got the consistency, it's got the negate-ability with Nat Beast. It can make a Dark Lord to just stop everything your opponent has and banish everything. and it can do all of this with relative ease. So I just personally feel like this is the 5th best deck. But yeah, so number 5 is Heroes. At number 4 is a deck that I loathe and should have been hit more, and you'll be hearing more about it in Konami Fix the Ban list, is Trickstar. Now, Trickstar were obviously going to be on this list. They got no hits in it whatsoever. They've literally got everything that they had before except for 1 terraforming and 1 scapegoat, which literally means nothing because the deck is still hella consistent. Being able to just get a terraforming, get to the field spell, then have access to the whole deck because of Candina can access the whole deck, and you can also add, and also the deck plays a ton of hand traps in general as well. It's got like free draw and like literally if you draw a Droll and a Reincarnation, you won. You've just won, and that's why Trickstar is definitely the 4th best deck because of this. Because just being able to have consistency in a deck isn't everything. It's also the fact that the deck has a lot of burn ability, which is really annoying because of Lycoris. And as I said in my prediction video for this list, I thought Lycoris would be banned because that actually stops a lot of the problems in the deck. So seeing that it didn't get banned, Lycoris is like the deck actually still has a lot of consistency. It has a lot of consistency, playability, burn ability, which is just insane. Like literally, with 1 Reincarnation, you're burning them 1200 damage. For every search they have, they're taking 400 damage, and because of the field spell as well. And if you just open that Droll and Lockbird, you've won the game from there, because of your opponent's just going to end up searching a card, you're going to hand loop their entire hand, and then you win from there. And the additions of, and sure, maybe Goat is up too, but even if you draw the Goat, you still have the place to do stuff with that. And it's just like, Trickstars just have so much in them, just so much to do, just so much they can do, that the deck is still the 4th best, if one of the best decks in the format, because it can still deal with every other deck very easily, and it's not even an issue for them. Like, even without the Trickstar, the Sky Striker engine, the deck is still amazing, an amazing deck, in my opinion. So, number 4 is Trickstars, just because the burn ability, the consistency, and the way it can, and just how easy it is to go for game with that deck, and that's the reason it's the 4th best deck. At number 3, I have Invoked. Now, I personally feel, with the addition of the Alistair the Madness Invoker, with just Mech Knights in general, with all the invoked cards being really low rarity and really easy to get right now, I feel like this deck will show much more potential in the format, and will just be going a lot further in, and will just be doing a lot more in the game. Because looking at the decks that we currently have, with Invoked, with Heroes, with Trickstars, with Sky Strikers, with Autogeist, with Draco, with all these different decks, Invoked are actually a deck that can really just play off the strengths of other decks. For instance, Invocation. Oh, you have a hand trap in your deck graveyard? I'm going to banish that to summon a fusion monster. Oh, you have a light monster in the graveyard? I'm going to banish that to summon a fusion monster. And the deck can actually utilize the same tricks as Trickstar with stuff like Scapegoat and Terraforming, and they didn't lose anything either, because of, like, literally just losing 1 Terraforming, 1 Goat does nothing to the deck. And with the addition of Alistair the Madness Invoker, it also gives the deck a lot more OTK potential, which is something that's also really big in the deck. Like, the deck has actually a lot of ways to play the game right now, thanks to Madness Invoker, because all you've got to do is summon the Madness Invoker, fusion summon to a area it points to, and then you get to add a Book of Lore from your deck to your hand, and from the Book of Lore, you get to just change your fusion into anything you want. You could go into a Mechaba, you could go into a Purgatoria, you could go into a Raijin, you could go into the water one, the dark one. Like, you could go into anything you want with that Book of Lore, and I personally feel like that is a very big problem with the deck, and that's why it is the 3rd best deck, because it just has it's very consistent. It's very good in general, and the amount of hand traps that it can run are on par with Trickstar as well. So the deck just has so much more to offer, and so much ways to play around the game and play around other decks, that the deck is actually really going to be the 3rd best deck in my opinion. Seeing as the deck can also utilize the Mech Knights as well to gain more advantage in that category as well, it also boosts that area in general too. So yeah, Mech Knight Invoked, Mech Knight or Mech Knight Invoked, whichever you want to go with, is the third best deck of this format in my opinion, because of the amount of playability, consistency, negate ability in the deck thanks to Mechaba, the way you can OTK your opponent just for having monsters on board with Purgatorio. Like, the deck has just so much more to offer now than it did before Valhalla, that I personally feel like it will be the third best deck in the format. So yeah, number two is, in my personal opinion, and maybe not yours, is Trickstar. Yeah, Trickstar. No, not Trickstar. Sky Striker. Why am I saying Trickstar? Sky Striker. Sky Striker, I personally feel, is the second best deck. Now, the reason Sky Striker is the second best deck, the reason for this is the deck just has so much. Like, literally, the deck has so much that you can't even believe it. The deck has search ability through Sky Striker Engage, which also makes you a draw, so it's a +1 in general. The deck may have lost 2 Hornet Drones, but you don't need Hornet Drones because you have Ray. The deck has like negate ability through Widow Anchor, destroy ability through Jamming Waves and Afterburners. The deck has a recycle ability through Kagari. The deck has more search ability through Suzuku. The deck has ways to send cards to grave to get more search ability through Hayate. The deck just has so much built into it that it's not even funny to say that this deck will not be on a list, in a top 5 or top 10 list in general, because this deck is one of the best decks of the format. This deck will be one of the best decks of the format, no matter what, just because the amount of stuff that the deck plays, like the amount of consistency the deck has, and the amount of playability the deck has, is insane, and you can't deny that. Like, and even if you lose all your Kagaris, you still have ways to get to your graveyard resources thanks to stuff like multi-roll. For every Sky Striker card you activate, you get to reset them all. So if you've used that Engage that turn, you can just reset it. If you use that Widow Anchor that turn, you can just reset it. If you've used the Afterburn that turn, you can just reset it. Like, there's just so much in the deck that you can't deny that this deck is one of the best decks of the format. It being consistent, it being able to just beat your opponent down, it being able to stall your opponent, control the game. Like, the deck is a consistent control deck that can just deal with your opponent easy. They don't need to have more than one monster, and that's a big problem as well, because like, they either end on a Shizuku or a Kagari, and if they have Kagari, they have a big monster. If they have Shizuku, they're just decreasing your monster. And even if you make that monster leave the board, you can just summon it right back from the graveyard to do more with it. So Sky Striker will be one of the best decks of this format. There's no doubt in my mind that this will be either the 1 or 2 deck. I personally think it's the 2 deck, but honestly, this deck is too good not to be on a list. So personally, the consistency, the controllability, the destroying of everything, the beatdown ability, the controlling ability, like, this deck just has so much, and I'm not going to say anything more about it, because this deck is definitively, in my opinion, a number 2 deck or number 1. Number 2 for me though, but it could be number 1. And number 1 for the top 5 decks of the September 17th format is Altergeist. What, you don't believe me? Let me explain. Now, every deck on this list, every deck I've talked about, what do they have in common? They rely on spells. Everyone relies on spells. What do Altergeist like to do? They like to deal with spells. They do this through cards such as Anti-Spell Fragrance. They do this through cards such as Imperial Order. They do this through cards such as Floodgates. And why am I saying this? Well, Floodgates in general stop the game. Floodgates are able to deal with your opponent. Altergeist utilize Floodgates and cards like Siliquise to negate these cards or compulse these cards, and also cards with like Hextia to negate these spell and trap cards that your opponent utilizes. And it being this, and you having all of these resources to deal with your opponent through Altergeist just makes sense for it to be number one. The deck is very control based, being able to have tons of floodgates, tons of negate ability, tons of compulsing thanks to Siliquise, tons of protection and everything of the like, and tons of stalling. This deck is definitively the best deck in my opinion. Being able to just get to multi-faker more consistent with Linkuriboh or 1-for-1, or being able to just deal with your opponent's stuff through floodgates, or being able to flip a rivalry for any of the decks on this list, except for maybe Heroes because they just make a Dark or a Soul Day, but being able to flip a rivalry on a Sky Striker, Trickstar, or Invoked player means they can't play the game because they're not able to go into any more of their monsters, or any of the other players, because they can't go from Alistair to Mechaba, or into, well, they can go into the Madness, but if they can't make the Madness without a different type. If you go up Sky Strikers, you can't turn Rei into any Suzuki or Kagari or Hayate. If you're going up against Trickstars, they flip that goat. They're not going to be able to do anything else. They have any other type of monster on the board. They're not doing anything else. And that's one of the things with Altergeist. They utilize these floodgates to a degree where where it gives them more advantage by playing them, and it gives them their main monsters even more advantage. Plus, they have monster negate ability through stuff like Protocol. They have revive ability through stuff like Manifestation. They have negate ability through Hextia. They have more revive ability through Marionetta. They have searchability through Siliquise and spoofing. They have special summon ability through Multifaker. Like, the deck just has so much and can counter so many different decks in this format that I personally feel it is the best deck of this format. It's able to counter Sky Strikers with ease. It's able to counter Trickstar with ease. It's able to counter Invoked with ease. It's able to counter even Heroes to a certain degree with stuff like Anti-Spell and Imperial Orders, so they can't go into any of their bigger plays. And they even can negate stuff thanks to Protocol to stop their monster effects. Like, there's so much in this deck that I just can't say it's not the number one deck. Being able to use Multifaker to summon Siliquise, being able to use Concuri to negate your attack, being able to use Meliseek to send any card on the field to the graveyard and deal that 500 damage. Like, there's just so much in the deck that I personally feel that it is the best deck. Being able to just negate everything, being able to deal with everything, being able to just stop everything. It's personally, in my opinion, the best deck for that. But guys, that's just my personal opinion. What do you guys think? Do you guys think my list is garbage? Do you think Altergeist are number one? Do you think Sky Striker are number one instead? I personally feel it's the other way around, because Altergeist is a perfect counter to Sky Striker and pretty much every deck on this list. And what do you all think of my list? Do you think something like Pendulum Magicians should be on here? I personally feel like it's number 6 because they lost an Electromite and they lose a lot of their late game playability. But they still can make their turn 1 boards, which makes them still pretty good. Do you think something like Dino should have been on this list for some reason? True Draco or anything like that? Tell me all of that in the comment section below, because I personally feel like Heroes are number 5, Trickstar are number 4, Invoked are number 3, Sky Striker is number 2, and Altergeist is number 1. That's just my personal opinion, guys, but tell me your thoughts in the comments below, because I love to hear your opinions and thoughts and everything of the like. Tell me if you liked the video, tell me if you didn't like the video. If you did, press the like button to show that you liked it and want to see more top 5 videos or discussions about the format. If you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh videos from me, don't forget to press the subscribe button to be subscribed for future Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to be notified of that future Yu-Gi-Oh content or streams that I upload, streams that I do that are normally 8 p.m. Thursday UK time, don't forget to press the notification button to be notified of that as well. But yeah, guys, these are the decks that I feel are going to be the best in the format. Tell me what you think of them in the comments section below, and as I said, and I will see you guys next time. Heroes are great again. Later, guys. Robot1, signing out. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos, and check out the links in the description for the previous video, and the link to my Facebook page where you can see previous videos that I've posted there, and any other information that I may have posted there. I hope to see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.